Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashum, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashum Rakakodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I say shalom to those for elect you in this word in sincerity and in truth. So just got a quick article dealing with, prophecy, in war, man. Because we understand that we're living in a time of war, and it don't matter what these people do. What's ultimately going to come to pass is the word of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. We're living in those times to where, World War III is a definite thing. They may try to make it look like, ain't no war getting ready to happen. But behind the scene, moves are being made to ultimately, have this thing kick off. But the title of it says, China ambassador to Russia claims peace with Ukraine is impossible if NATO continues expansion plans. And, dealing with the West, their whole thing is about war. This is Esau we're talking about. These Edomites, which is the beast, man. NATO and the EU. All right. And when you go to the book of Revelation, I want to get the scripture first. Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. I want to jump down to verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. You see that? A time of war and a time of peace is in the same verse. And the one that we're in right now is a time of war. The days of peace are long gone, man. We're in a time where bodies gonna be dropping, man. People gonna be dying in masses. So when we see an article like this where it talks about, peace is impossible, if expansion, if NATO continues expansion plans, we can best believe, through the spirit that something is getting ready to go down. Because we know that Esau doesn't stop. These devils gonna keep going and going and going until they finally get this thing going. Because this is the spirit that the Lord put on this man. All right, to never be satisfied. Let's get that scripture in the book of Habakkuk. Because we know that Esau, so I can put on do not disturb. Esau is never satisfied, man. This man is always going into people's lands, trying to expand. He wants more. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. Right, they're talking about the Edomites, man. Their soul ain't right. Esau just ain't right, man. But the just shall live by his faith, the Israelites, the elect. Yet also because he transgressed by wine, which is his philosophies, his doctrines. Because what does Esau do? Again, to mess these other nations up, he has them accept, his philosophies, man. Case in point, Kamala Harris maybe a month ago went over there to Africa to try to get them people to accept, sodomy. They're trying to get these people to transgress by that wine. And them Africans, so-called Africans, they don't get down like that. Talking about in a lot of those so-called Africans, West Africans are Jakes, man. That Jake is naturally, against that shit. Our people, we're naturally against, this wicked behavior. So even though Jake don't know the truth per se, they're still not down with that. Unless Esau, like the scripture says, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked, seduceth them. It says he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. That's Esau. He enlarges his desire, man, and is as death, because it don't matter where Esau go, death is gonna follow. This man don't bring life to where he goes, man. It's always war, hate, and death. This is why in the book of Isaiah 14, it talks about the rejoicing that's going to happen when this man is taken out of power. It says, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. This is the plan of the New World Order. To gather all nations, all people under him, under Satan, man. He can never be satisfied. You got the whole world right now. Everything, man. We talking about the elites, man. They got everything, but they want more. They're not satisfied, And this is what I got from this article where it talks about, NATO wants to expand. Okay, it says Chinese ambassador to Russia, Zhang Hanui, warned that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization expansion into Europe is a key reason for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. So it's pretty much, NATO is provoking this war. NATO is is poking the bear, so to speak, man. It says, because, Ukraine, is pretty much part of Russia. So if you get Ukraine to join, NATO, you're pretty much in Russia's back door or front door, wherever it may be. But, that's a call for war. Not that I'm siding with Russia. We on the side of prophecy, but we see it when it happens, man. It says in an interview with Russian state-owned news agency, Zhang claimed that the military bloc led by the United States has been fanning the flames of conflict everywhere, destroying stability and engaging in separatism. He then blamed the U.S. and NATO for past and present conflicts in Kosovo, Libya, and Afghanistan. This is Esau. Wherever he goes, man, he brings war and conflict with him. This is a man of war, a man of the field, man. Matter of fact, that ties in to the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, because America, which is that whore, she rideth the beast. She rides the beast, which is NATO and the EU. Because America is, is who says what happens. This is the Revelation 17 and verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon the many waters. That great whore is America. The many waters are the peoples, the nations. And America rules over, these nations through NATO and the EU. So this is why they're able, once again, to have, military bases in all these nations. This is why they're able to have embassies, within these nations, man. These nations can't say jack shit about it, Because, they know that they'll get wiped down, they'll get wiped off, if they got anything to say. All right. Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. The wine of her fornication, her philosophies, her doctrines, her way of life. These different nations, have taken hold of, America's lifestyle. See, like when you go back to like 1930s, 1920s, 1940s, around those time periods, these nations, they had their own way of life. They were living, differently than, Babylon the Great. But when they saw how America was prospering, they saw, how this place calls, it's like, how the scriptures call America that golden city. Well, that's how they saw America, that perfect city. Therefore, they took hold of her ways, they integrated their ways, Babylon's ways within theirs, therefore drinking the wine of her fornication, man. And this is why the Lord is going to judge these nations along with Babylon the Great, Second Ezra 16 goes into that, thou hast been partakers of our, let me get that real quick, because I just quoted it and I want to make sure, I quoted it right. Second Ezra, where it says, and thou Asia. So I can get that real quick. No, it was 15, I'm sorry. Where it talks about how these Asian countries, Second Ezra, so all those countries over there in Asia that has taken part of America's, wine or philosophies, they're going to get judged too. Second Ezra 15 and 46. And thou Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. See, them countries over there in Asia, Japan, China, you got them Japhetic nations over there, they've all taken hold of America's ways, man. So the Lord's going to judge them, along with America. When the Lord brings Babylon down, hey, they're going to go down with her. Just like, here in the U.S., a lot of our people that have sold out to Babylon, that have sold out to Esau, that are living lavishly here in Babylon. When Babylon go down, where their lavish lifestyle will also too, will go down also. You know, Revelation 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. That woman, once again, is America. That scarlet-colored beast is talking about NATO and the EU. All right, which is Esau's, rulership. This is how Esau ruled the world, through this military force, this military and economic force. Full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones, pearls having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So she, she looked good, she was rich, but within that golden cup was abominations, was filth, and this is what she's put upon these other nations, man. So I want to get back to the article real quick and get a further point out of here. Because America, you can best believe, is at the head of, this conflict. And these nations know this, they all know this. It's just until now that, these so-called African nations that we've seen lately, they've been rising up, all right? Because Russia, as it says in the book of Ezekiel, the 30th chapter, is going to be a guard unto them. It says, Zhang further claimed that the 5 recent NATO expansions into Eastern Europe has seriously affected the post-Cold War and security in Europe, and became the main reason for the escalation in Ukraine crisis. Being a Cold War relic, NATO should have ceased to exist when the Cold War ended, he added. Zhang then lamented how NATO was allowed to keep prospering by instigating conflicts all over the world, and this is what Esau been doing. Case in point, you had, Yugoslavia, that's one of them that comes to mind. Many more that come to mind. Pretty much NATO just went bombing, schools, hospitals, homes, putting people in the hospital, injured. So pretty much, through this rulership, through that military force, man, Esau's just been able to go around the world having his way. All right. And that's why it says, let me get that real quick. Do unto Babylon, because the Lord is going to have happen unto Babylon, what they've been doing to these other nations, you see? Jeremiah 15:29, called together the archers against Babylon. The archers are these nations with nuclear capability, because just like a person with a bow and an arrow, he'd be considered an archer. They got the perfect aim and everything. So likewise, these nations that have the nuclear missiles, they're likened unto archers, because they're going to aim those arrows, those missiles, at America. All right? All you that bend the bow, camp against it round about. The bows are those silos, because those bows are where the missiles are going to be aimed from, Slovakia. They're going to be directed, all right, to America, man. That trajectory, all right, is going to be to America. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her. For she have been proud against the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, against the Holy One of Israel, So a great recompense is coming to America, man. The Lord did not forget about what you did to him, his people, and these nations. The Lord's going to put the spirit on these nations, to do what they got to do to America. And as it's written, the beast shall hate the whore, So even the beast, NATO is going to shoot, missiles at America, man. And you have one in Jeremiah 51:24, and I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So, there's judgment coming, all right, to Esau on our behalf also. Can't forget that. But this article is dealing with, these different nations, calling America out or calling NATO out, on their BS, man, what they're doing. They're deliberately escalating conflict. Russia has for years called on the U.S. to halt NATO's expansion, calling it a threat to Russian national security. President Vladimir Putin himself noted that the possibility of Ukraine eventually joining the military bloc was one of the key reasons for the special military operations in the country. Kyiv itself has for years been speaking publicly about its ambition to join NATO, and it even formally applied to join the bloc last fall. However, NATO itself seems reluctant to approve of Ukraine's application, citing the ongoing hostilities. U.S. President Joe Biden himself said he does not think Ukraine is ready for membership in NATO. You see that? President Joe Biden says he does not think. So you best believe Ukraine ain't gonna become part of NATO. Because once again, America has a say so on what goes down, man. And that's what I was reading right here in Revelation, the 18th chapter. This is the woman that sit upon the beast, that ride the beast. I'm gonna get to the point. It's Revelation 17, where the angel is pretty much breaking it down to John, what the vision mean, Let me see if I can find it. Okay, Revelation 17 and 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Pretty much America pretty much rules over the people. Because hey, we know that ultimately the elites, them Rothschilds and Rockefellers and different, Edomites behind the scene. Yeah, they're in rulership, but how do they rule? Through America, NATO and the EU. 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right, the European Union, from NATO countries, they're gonna hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. They're gonna shoot missiles at America. So even your own allies, all right, is gonna turn against you, you Americans. Verse 17, for the Most High have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. That great city is America, which reigneth over the earth, man. And this is what came to mind when it says U.S. President Joe Biden himself said he does not think Ukraine is ready for membership in NATO, claiming that it takes a long time for applicants to meet all of the bloc's qualifications, which show that Esau is the devil. Here it is, you're causing this conflict, but then says you don't think that they can join. So pretty much, safe to say Ukraine is a scapegoat, all right, for Babylon or the West. Because you best believe it's an agenda that Esau want to do over there. It's something he want to do over there, and he's using Ukraine to do it. But they don't really want to, they don't really want to help Ukraine, man. They just got something that they trying to do over there. That's how Esau move, man. Just like these other nations, man. Whenever Esau see resources, whenever he see opportunity, he's gonna want to do something in that specific region, but make an excuse to do it. We want to help we want to feed the homeless, and we want to help the babies, medical, care, whatever it may be. But all that is an excuse because he wants to, take something of theirs from their land. This man's the devil. It says the Cold War mentality and confrontation between the camps have long run counter to the demands of modern times, and saying, adding that NATO's regional expansion will only increase regional tensions, widen the trust gap, provoke a standoff between different camps, and even a new Cold War. We insist that NATO meet the calls of the times, heed the calls of Asia Pacific countries for peace and development, adjust its erroneous attitude, drop the Cold War mentality, and refrain from moving to the Asia Pacific region, which is not going to happen, man. Hey, as I said earlier, Esau is a man of war. He's not going to stop, man. And his actions will lead to war. Lord willing soon. And guess what? All of this is going to lead to our Lord Yahweh Shai returning. But this is Psalms 140 and verse 1, it says, "Deliver me, O Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man." Esau is that violent man. You know, remember, his blessing is a sword, and by thy sword shalt thou live. You see? That's Genesis 27. Verse 2, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. All right, Esau imagined mischiefs. Once again, you know, these devils did that. Hey, let's get it real quick in the book of Micah. They devised iniquity. You know, Micah 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. You know, Esau's in his rulership, because that's what the bed represent, his comfort, your comfort. You know, and these devils, they're in their comfort. And within their comfort, all they do is mischief, man. Devise iniquity. All right, what can we do today? The scripture says they sleep not unless they've done mischief. You know, it says when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right, Job 9 and 24. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. You know, so Esau's ultimately in rulership, man, and pretty much complete wickedness. And this is why the only one that can stop him is Yahushua. You know, because none of these nations truly have the power to stop these Edomites, man, because their power is the sword. All right. Verse 2, which imagine mischiefs in their heart, continually are they gathered together for war. What is Esau talking about in these councils? You know, how can how can they do this? How can they provoke this nation? How can they provoke that nation? How can they get into this nation and take their resources? You best believe this is what Esau is talking about in them councils, man. You know, it's always something mischievous that this devil is trying to do, because there is no good in his mind, in his heart. All right, but that's pretty much the point. I just thought I'd bring this article out, man. You know, because this definitely speaks volume concerning the times that we're in, and these things are just going to continue to happen. We're not living in a time of peace, so don't expect peace to happen. We're living in a time of war. We're living in a time of great distress, man. You know, and it's only going to get worse. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kakodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to those full lit.